Greetings, everyone. I'm your host, Elvina, on Tender Talks. And I would like to say that we meet a bunch of beautiful individuals on daily basis. So, keeping that thought in mind, today I have a very esteemed guest with me, Colonel Suri. Colonel Suri is a military leader with 24 years of experience and above a great visionary, I must say, a multifaceted, multi-talented individual, of course, who has aced many academically acclaimed certificates and courses to always keep the rat race going and to always be ahead of the learning curve. On a lighter side, he is also a natural and a passionate sportsman who is very passionate about cricket, badminton, football, and I have seen him playing tennis, so I can say tennis as well. So, welcome to our show, Colonel Suri. It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Very good afternoon to you and all the viewers here. It's a pleasure meeting you again on this online platform. It's been a great and long association that we've had till now, and nice to see Ustride doing so good. I've seen the journey when it all started and the way it is progressing. Kudos to you and your team.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Colonel Suri. So, since I mentioned in your introduction a visionary and, of course, a leader with a smile, I would say, because I've always seen you smiling. So, could you tell us about your journey throughout the military life?
Ma'am, it's been a long and arduous journey, and I'm an infantry officer from the Sikh Light Infantry, commissioned into the 10th Battalion, and that was in June 1997. Thereafter, what followed was a long journey with the military units, battalions, changing various appointments, going from one appointment to the other without being prepared. And that's the fun with the Indian Army. You are thrown into a situation and then you got to adapt, you got to learn, and then you got to move ahead. So that has been a very, very great learning experience throughout. Imagine I was a young captain, moved from infantry unit straight into an armored formation, which is a totally different organization. And I was expected to do jobs and things which, 8 to 10 years service bracket people were doing. And that too without a formal training in that vertical. But anyhow, one did learn, and learning has always been there. From there, I moved on again back to the unit instructional appointment in Bhutan for 2 years, which is again another learning experience, looking at various diplomatic angles, different country altogether, uh, coming back to India, operations in J&K, then Northeast, commanding an Assam Rifles Battalion in Northeast, another learning experience. So yes, it's been a long journey for 24 years. One has taken everything in its own stride. So right from day one, doing various courses and learning, doing on-the-job training and learning, imparting that learning, and as you said, being a visionary, looking in various appointments, 5, 10 years, 20 years hence, is also something which is taught to us, which is, to show the path. Uh, Moved on to corporate about close to 2 years back now. Another learning. So life has been like that. And, I've done well. I am very, very satisfied. I've had a very, very wonderful life till now. And the journey continues. It never stops. So that has been the greatest
Absolutely.
forte. It continues forever on and on.
Yes, life is a journey, and learning is that treasure in this journey of life that never ends, I would say.
Absolutely.
Yes. So, speaking about the army, and now that you are in the corporates, so what is the transition and the difference that you have seen?
Uh, but professionally speaking, there's uh, the arduous responsibility that you always shoulder. That continues to be within the army and in the corporate. Within the army, you are commanding lives. Your decisions change lives. It can take a few lives as well. But then the onerous responsibility which is entrusted upon you, and the power of your pen, which often is entrusted upon a full colonel, a commanding officer of the Indian Army, is quite a lot. So one has to be very, very deliberate in taking decisions. On the flip side, I'll also say that the number of decisions that you take on a daily basis is far too many. At times, you're taking decisions within your stride without even blinking an eyelid. But then that's all hardwired into you through training, through your regimental life, through various experiences that you've undergone. On the
Right.
flip side is the corporate world. Yes, another challenge. It's a great challenge. One has to really adapt to it, and I think it's not very, very difficult for any military leader to adapt onto this life. Yes, I'll say that depending upon the role, depending upon what you've been entrusted upon, you need to define and draw your boundaries and go within your job definition and job profile. That's what one has to understand. At times, I've seen certain veterans not adhering to it, which leads to difficulties of adjustments and
Right.
nothing else.
Absolutely.
Morally, an army officer is upright. He is what he is, and that is why he is there in the corporate.
Of course.
But yes, to convince the people and the surroundings and to make a mark is for you to do. And I think most of us do very, very well outside. And that's the reason why we are doing it.
Great, because that's your personal brand. So you will be known with your own identity and the job that you do. So everything goes hand in hand, I will say.
Absolutely, ma'am.
Right.
Your
So if
rank
we
should not
speak,
carry from.
sorry, sorry, go
I
ahead.
said your rank should not carry on from your military profile to the corporate one. But yes, everything else associated with it must, which is
Yes,
your experience, which is your teaching, which is your culture, which is your moral fiber, and everything else which goes along.
absolutely, absolutely. So if we are to number three great achievements, what would it be for you?
I think the greatest achievement for any infantry officer is to command a unit, to
Right.
command a battalion, because I'm sure you will be with me when you are commanding a unit. Uh, you are at the helm of affairs, and the buck stops at you and nobody else. So
Absolutely.
that has been the greatest achievement of life, and which is parallel to none. One of my commanding officers, when I got commissioned, used to say that, uh, in your professional life, that should be the pinnacle which you must aim at.
Right.
Beyond that, get away from troops. After all, we all come to this noble profession to be
Yes.
close to the troops, to be next to them, to operate with them.
Yes.
And operated I have, and very much. But yes, that has been the pinnacle. And other achievements, I think, are very, very less or low in front of that. So great, about 3 years plus of command, that has been the forte.
All right. So we just have one greatest achievement, which is the utmost. There are no two ways to it.
Yes,
Amazing. So,
yes.
of course, when you have commanded or during your journey, you have faced a lot of challenging situations at times because it depends on your job profile. Everyone faces challenging situations. So, what is your take on it? How do you maneuver or how do handle the situation as such?
Uh, I think within the operational areas, there's been tremendous too many challenges on a daily basis. Uh, Along with that, when you are commanding people, commanding troops, there's always the HR angle, which the corporate calls, and there are too many challenges upfront there as well. While your operational decisions and while your operation challenges have got a name or a brand associated with your unit's profile, your unit's performance, and the task which you've been entrusted upon. Because after all, operational task is the major task that you have.
Yes.
While on the human resource front, right from training to administration to discipline to documentation, pay, perks, everything else is there. Um, Going by the Pareto principle, it's always 20-80. And 80% of your effort here will get consumed, although the result is only 20%. Whereas in the operational front, it is your 80% of result which is upfront, but your efforts are only 20%. You'll not be able to devote more time. So striking a fine balance, having a good time management, having that kind of a principle in life to understand what is important and what is emergent, and then shifting through it. I think that is something which one has to learn, and it is learned through on-the-job training. Yes, and various courses and various models are taught to you, but unless you practice what you preach, it's very, very difficult. So I guess that's what it is, and that is what brings up to become the natural leaders that a role that we've been selected for.
Yes, perfect, beautiful answer, and very inspirational, I must say. Especially the 80-20 bit is a takeaway for a lot of our audience, and you have to practice what you preach because practice is ultimately the key. Your theoretical knowledge is there, but till you don't put it into practice, it has not much value. You'll not learn more. So, if you were to give a TED talk, what would the topic be? And what message would you want to put across?
I think if I was to give a TED talk, it can be, over leadership, over moral, over values. But I may sound different. I would like to give a TED talk on something which I just scribbled. It's shades of truth or shades
Wow.
of gray. Uh, the way I look at life or the way I look at world is, there is never anything wrong. It's your perception versus mine. So
Yes.
there are always shades, and these shades will continue. What differentiates a corporate leader from a military leader, one corporate leader to the other, or from one personality to the other? It's always the perception. It's always that shade of gray which will differ. Because at a senior level, beyond a certain level of responsibilities that you've taken off, everybody taking hundreds of decisions of this, in a same situation or a similar situation, all 100 decisions are right, believe you me.
Yes.
It's only the perception which matters.
Absolutely.
Somebody who would like to take a decision depending upon his own perception of the situation, which is a result of your upbringing, your teachings, your experiences of life. So I guess if I was to take a TED talk, it'll be on the shades of gray.
Lovely, lovely. Very out of the box answer, I must say. Not the conventional topics of leadership and visionary and trust and, networking, collaboration. A beautiful answer, very insightful. So, my last question to you would be if you have a significant influence of a mentor in your life, could you tell me that how did it impact you, if there was anyone?
Uh, Throughout your journey, there have been mentors, and not one, many. Of course, the first mentor is your first commanding officer in any infantry battalion, and by the way, he is also a Pinto. Uh, yes, it does make a difference. See, in the Indian Army's regimental system of training, or the regimented facet of life that it is, the training starts from the unit, and it starts from day one. The day you land in the unit, your training starts. And I think, guess that's where, the old timers, if I may say, or use that word, had this sense of belongingness, this sense of regimentation, which is so very important. And the mentor or the commanding officer plays that role of a mentor, and he delegates some of the responsibilities to the other people within the hierarchy to include your senior subaltern. And that's where your training, your nurturing starts. And nurturing is much beyond training. Training is all formal. But what you learn in your day-to-day life, your conduct, your behavior, your mannerism, that is where a mentor plays a very, very strong role to understand that thin line between what's right and what's wrong. That's very, very. And to add on a word or a thought, uh, within corporate, I have experienced and a bit in the armed forces as well. Uh, One has to understand the difference between a mentor and a godfather. And
Yes.
a lot of people go beyond mentorship and get on to the godfather kind of a concept, which I think is slightly detrimental. May not be so in certain cases, but then one has to be careful and mindful of mentoring a person versus becoming a guide and a godfather. So those are my takes on the subject, and I guess to be a mentor is something really very good. When I rose up in life, I've done it myself. A lot of officers, it is very nice once you've left the unit. There's no interaction whatsoever on the professional front, and an officer gives a call, sir, I've become a CO, I've become a colonel. It was all because of your guidance that I realized my potential,
Right.
uh, which at times becomes missing. So that's how the mentorship should be. It should continue throughout your life. This journey should never stop.
Absolutely. Very well said. So, on the lighter side, after speaking about TED Talks, mentorship, and our greatest achievements, let's move on to a little game on a lighter side. So, I'll ask you little questions. You can answer whatever you feel, your perspective to it, right? So, if you had to change one thing, what would it be?
One thing, as in myself, or as
Your
in
take.
life.
Your take.
Hmm. Well, I won't like to change anything whatsoever. Um, in all the three fronts, my personal front, my family front, and my professional front. The way things have been, they have been great. And if I have to change something, I'll work hard for it now to change something in the future.
Perfect. Perfect. Amazing. Something adventurous that you have done.
Uh, you see, physical fitness wise, I've done a lot of adventure activities and treks and things. Uh, and nothing much, nothing else which has been too adventurous in life. Uh, on that front, I guess I've done very well. I've done a 21-day trek, which was a trans-Bhutan trek between Indo-Bhutan Friendship Organization. And while I was posted there, so 21 days of grueling fitness,
Yes,
strenuous
that's
exercise.
that is a great adventure. I don't think there's something more adventurous than that.
Absolutely.
Right. So, your favorite movie of all times, and why does it hold a special place in your heart?
Ma'am, I've got no doubts in saying Jo Jeeta Wahi Sikandar was an all-time favorite. It was
Right.
a movie which came at a time when I was struggling in life, when you
Yes.
were looking at the direction where you got to be. And this movie teaches you one thing: जो जीता वही सिकंदर है.
Right.
आप जो मर्जी कह लें, जितने मर्जी बहाने बना लें बाद में पहले, if you can't achieve the results, आप सिकंदर नहीं बन सकते. So
Perfect.
one has to learn that.
Very well said and very well related to the movie. So, anyway, I'll just ask you a random question now. So, if you were deserted on an island, what were the three things that you would require?
Oh my God. I think the only thing I'll require is a will to survive. If I have the will to survive, rest all will follow.
Amazing, amazing. And your favorite way to unwind your long days that you have?
Uh, any strenuous physical activity. You sweat out after a strenuous day. A lot of people feel that after a day of having your emotionally being drained or physically being drained, you should take a rest. But I say no. You sweat out and rest. Everything will fall in place.
Amazing, amazing. So, my final question to you for the show is one piece of advice that you want to give our audience and even youngsters who are watching. What would you like to tell them?
I think the youngsters these days are getting too much into the digital world, the digital realm. So while you should use that uh, in your professional life, in your careers, in your education front, but never ever get away from the realities. Never ever leave your friends, your family away. So while taking care of the digital world, stay connected to your roots, stay connected to your family, stay connected to your friends, and get time for them. I think that's something which everybody must do and continue to do so for your personal well-being, for your emotional well-being.
Right. Thank you so much, Colonel Suri. We've had really encouraging, inspirational, as well as motivational conversation with you, where I'm sure our audience has benefited a lot, especially where the 80-20 is concerned, where practice what you preach is concerned, and also in the world of technology, not being so stuck up to digitalization and not forgetting your roots, because ultimately we all are human and we need each other for survival. So thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. It was great talking to you.
Thank you.
Good day. Bye-bye.